My late teens and 20s, I spent in Massachusetts, which is very liberal. Yeah, I would consider myself a 80s, 90s Democrat.
Have you changed over time politically?
No, I haven't changed.
So you remain a kind of center-left Democrat?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
There are interviews, and then there are interviews where someone walks in expecting a friendly conversation and slowly realizes the questions are not going to be that easy. Because in this one, Dana White wants the audience to accept two very specific ideas at the exact same time. First, that he's supposedly this reasonable center-left Democrat who just happens to lean slightly left politically. And second, that Donald Trump, a man he has publicly defended, praised, and spoken for on major stages, has been completely misunderstood by the public. That's already a difficult balancing act. But then comes the part that really makes this conversation fascinating. Because when the discussion moves towards some of Trump's most controversial public moments, suddenly we're expected to believe Dana White has somehow missed all of it. Never saw it, never heard about it, no awareness whatsoever. Right. And that's what makes this clip worth breaking down. Because David Remnick doesn't come in yelling. He doesn't come in trying to create chaos. He does something much more effective. He stays calm, asks direct questions, and lets the contradictions speak for themselves. And honestly, those are usually the most revealing interviews of all. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Because what you're about to watch is a conversation where the pressure keeps building, the explanations get shakier, and the gap between public loyalty and basic accountability becomes impossible to ignore. Let's get into it.
My late teens and 20s, I spent in Massachusetts, which is very liberal. Yeah, I would consider myself a 80s, 90s Democrat.
Have you changed over time politically?
No, I haven't changed.
So you remain a kind of center-left Democrat?
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Do you talk politics with Trump? Or did you before the first convention?
No.
That wasn't a currency of your conversation, of your relationship?
If you look at any of my speeches at the conventions or any of that, I don't ever say the left is wrong or the left is bad or the left is this. I spoke about who he is as a person and as a friend and as a human being, because a lot of the narrative that they put out there about him and who he is as a person is gross.
But doesn't he
absolutely positively not true.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit too. I think it's fair to say that if he has that reputation, it doesn't come from outer space.
Oh, it does. It comes from politics. That's where it comes from.
But doesn't it come from some of his rhetoric and some of his way of treating people and talking about people? And
no, I think that, listen, did I wish that back in the day he'd stay off Twitter a little bit more and things like, listen, he's a tough guy and he's not afraid to give his opinion, but he's been talking about politics since he was young. I mean, if you look back at him, but these things that he's a racist and he's a Nazi and he's this and that. I mean, Donald Trump, all this stuff's coming out now. The Michael movie just came out, and you see all these videos now popping up of Trump defending Michael Jackson and the type of person that he was, and that Michael Jackson was around his children and around his family a lot.
But wait a minute, Dana, Michael Jackson, as talented as he was, as brilliant as he was a deeply, deeply flawed human being, to say the least, and was abusive. Everything we know about him.
He was abusive?
Kids, yes, it's terrible.
I don't know if that's true. But I can tell you that, the president had a very good relationship with Michael Jackson and had Michael Jackson around his kids all the time and, defended him when that stuff was going down.
Do you ever talk politics with the president?
To call the guy a racist is crazy. He's not a racist.
Well, how do you look, I don't want to go on endlessly about Donald Trump because, then that's all we'll do. But when he puts out a video that shows the Obamas as apes and then won't even apologize for it, you don't get the willies from that?
No, I've been around the guy so much, but
that doesn't give you pause, Dana?
As far as what?
About his views of, just about his way he talks about other human beings, much less race.
But if that's the way if he was that type of a person, first of all, I became friends with this guy, never even imagining that he would be the president of the United States someday.
Right.
And if he was that type of person, I would never associate with that type of a person, no matter who he was or who he thinks he is.
But if he does that, how is he not that kind of person?
He's not.
But do you know something that I know? In other words, what you're telling me is that you kind of know, of course you know him better personally,
yeah.
but he's the most transparent personality we have in public life. He talks to the press all the time. He's on social media all the time. It seems sometimes there's nothing that we don't know about him.
Very true.
So he's almost as apparent to me as he is to you.
And I don't know about the Obama thing to speak. To speak on it. I've never seen it. I didn't know that, but I can tell you this: he's not a racist. He's not a fascist. He loves this country, and if you're an American, race, religion, whatever
this
it
is where the whole thing completely
President Trump is on your
unravels.
team.
Because Dana White wants to present himself as this center-left Democrat, this politically balanced guy who just happens to support Donald Trump because of personal loyalty. But here's the problem. When you genuinely sit in the center-left politically, you can usually point to something you disagree with. One policy, one statement, one decision, anything. But here, nothing. Not one meaningful criticism. And then comes the "I've never seen that" defense, which might be the most convenient line in modern political media. We're talking about one of the most publicly connected figures in America, a man constantly online, deeply tied to Trump's orbit, and somehow we're supposed to believe he missed one of the most talked about controversies? That's a tough sell. And when Remnick points out that reputations don't just appear out of nowhere, Dana's response is basically, well, politics. Politics? No. Public reputations are shaped by public behavior. That's the key issue here. And the Michael Jackson argument? That was a bizarre detour that answered absolutely nothing. Because being seen with certain people decades ago doesn't automatically erase criticism about rhetoric or public conduct today. That's not a defense, that's a distraction. And this is the broader pattern you keep seeing. Claim political moderation to stay relatable, show unwavering loyalty to maintain access, and when the contradiction becomes obvious, suddenly it's "I didn't see it," "I don't know," or "that's being taken out of context." That's what made this interview so revealing. Not because anyone shouted, but because under calm questioning, the contradictions became impossible to ignore. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.